good afternoon and welcome to another Liberated Mind video. Today I want to talk about something that's quite serious, a topic that a lot of us don't like to talk about. There's a bit of a stigma attached to it, and that is loneliness. Now, loneliness is something that people seem to be ashamed of, or they don't want to admit because it might look like they don't have any friends, or they're not cool, or they don't like to bother people. But it's actually quite a serious issue. And the other day I was on a presentation, like an event online with various other speakers, and one of the speakers was someone that was, I suppose, a loneliness expert, if you like. He has a website which I'll tell you a bit more about later. His name was Marcus Hamilton, and he did a presentation about loneliness, and he gave me some quite astounding facts that I had no idea about. So I thought it would be quite nice to spread the message a little bit. So loneliness, I love this. He used this as a metaphor, right? Just like he used the idea that hunger was our body's way of telling us that we need to eat. And loneliness is our body's way of telling us that we need connection, that we need social interaction. And he went on to say that, of course, if we don't eat for a longer period of time, those hunger pains become more acute, and until you become starving, and then if you keep going and keep going, you can eventually starve to death. And his argument was that it's kind of the same. Now, we don't really think of loneliness as having any serious consequences. We just sort of brush over these things. But according to some scientific studies now, loneliness is actually, severe chronic loneliness is the equivalent in terms of health issues as smoking cigarettes, 15 cigarettes a day. Now, that's because of the impact it has on our heart and our blood pressure and various other issues to do with things like mental health, like depression and anxiety, and just all of the things that come along with that. Something that, again, a lot of people aren't talking about this year, which is something which really surprises me, and I could go on a rant about this a little bit, but the fact that suicide rates are up massively. More people have died from suicide than the coronavirus, right? Just to put things into perspective a little bit. And it's amazing to me that no one's talking about this. So make of that what you will. But coming back to the idea of loneliness, the statistic is, if you are chronically lonely, you are up to 30% more likely to die at a younger age, which is kind of astounding, really. So it is something that we need to take seriously. And it's definitely something that I can relate to a lot. I mean, I spend a lot of time on my own. And don't get me wrong, like, I love my own company, my solitude, and actually a lot of the time when I'm with groups of people, I can't wait to leave those groups of people and get back to doing what I want to do on my own. But even I can recognize that there are different aspects to that where social interaction is absolutely key and important. I mean, for me personally, I'm very lucky that I've got a lot of good friends, a lot of close friends. I stay in contact with people. Although my family aren't particularly close, we do stay in contact. I've got a really good relationship with my father these days. And even this morning we had a group Zoom video call, which was very amusing to watch an 83-year-old man trying to get his camera right. I saw up his nose most of the time. But the point I'm trying to make here is a lot of people don't necessarily have that. They don't have family, or they don't have friends. And it's also important to sort of say that it's not just about quantity, because a lot of people, especially famous people, and Robin Williams and people like that are a good example of that, they can be surrounded by people all the time, and even surrounded by people that are essentially yes men and sort of sucking up to them and stuff like that, but you can still be chronically lonely, just even though you are surrounded by people all the time. So it's not just about being around people, it's around being around people that you connect with, that you have strong relationships with, that you can trust, that you feel that you can open up to, and that you have that support network. For me personally, one thing I sort of suffer with a lot is the fact that I'm single. Now, again, I've been single for a long time, and a lot of that has been, especially in the last couple of years, has been by choice, because I've been really working on myself and getting my company off the ground and things like that. But, it amazes me how strong the pull is to get back into a relationship. So clearly it's a very natural thing. And I will catch myself using coping mechanisms, because when we get stressed and when we move from the front part down into the emotional center of the brain, that's where all of our coping mechanisms live. In other words, we want to soothe ourselves. We want to medicate or kind of make those feelings that we're feeling, soothe them. So for me personally, I will go on social media, or I will go on various other sites, just because I want connection. I crave that connection, or things like dating websites and things like that. So, it's just worth pointing out that coping mechanisms and our habits generally equate to the fact that we are craving something, or we're feeling something that we don't want to feel, or we're not addressing, we're not listening to our bodies. And I think in a modern age where there are so many distractions and people are constantly plugged in to technologies, I mean, a lot of people I know can't be on their own. They can't be in silence. They have to have something in the background, whether that be music. I mean, even when they go to sleep, they can't just go to sleep with no sound. They have to have the TV on, or they have to have something in the background, and that's normal to them. And they're not addressing that, and that's become a part of their life. And, from a therapist and a coach and various other things point of view, that is not particularly healthy, and that's not me judging. It's me saying there is something there that you are not addressing, and it shouldn't be like that. It doesn't have to be like that. Shouldn't's a strong word. So, just to say then that don't ignore it, right? Don't be ashamed of it. You have to reach out to people, and you can be honest with people. And this is the thing, other people will be feeling the same way that you are. And it's really important that these topics, suicide happens because, it gets that far. It's an extreme where someone has either isolated themselves, or they haven't had the support that they've needed, so they are now feeling like there is no other option. I know as well old people that really become isolated because either, especially at the moment, because of fear on the TV, or the fact that their family have got so much going on that they can't get to them every day. And it's understandable. It's not the worst punishment for a human being is solitary confinement. That's a well-known thing. It's been documented for many years, and that is why in prisons, if you really do something bad, you get put into solitary confinement. Sometimes you get put in there for your own safety, but the point is this: it isn't pleasant. And the reason it's not pleasant is because we are social beings. We need connection. We need to be able to share. We need intimacy. My God, the idea of having a hug is something like, it's like a drug. Just like, I can't wait to have a hug. And there are some people that, feel comfortable to do that. But a lot of people, is anyone getting around this, getting used to the fact that not shaking hands, something as simple as that, when I have a client in, I've still got that tendency. And I think it's really sad that we're kind of having to recondition ourselves to not have physical contact. So I'm hoping that that's not going to go on for much longer. So, what I would say is it's time to address this. Just like many other things, we need to talk about it. We need to set up groups about it. And if you are experiencing loneliness, then be honest with yourself. Don't try and cover it up with eating or drinking or whatever. It's about time to, here's some examples of what you can do. Just connect with the people that you have in your life already, your family, your friends. If you don't have that, then there are places where you can go, or phone calls that you can make to strangers, but strangers that it's their job to speak to you. Also, things like Meetup, right? There are events going on all the time in your area. It's a fantastic app. A lot of them are free. And I know from personal experience that I've met some of my closest friends through going to these groups, and there will be something that will interest you. It could be a hobby, it could be something that you're into culturally, or it could just be a social group. The point is, you can actually meet people and choose to do something that you actually enjoy doing, or try something new, like a hobby or a new craft or some kind of activity that you may not have tried before. Also, just have a look in your local town, like on the notice boards, on social media. There will be message boards and town message boards. There is always something going on. And even though you may be slightly nervous at first, just think about it like this. Everybody's in the same boat, right? There'll all be new people to the group. I've actually run some meetup groups, and I continue to go to ones all the time. And you would be surprised how welcome people make you feel if you find the right group. Because at the end of the day, that's the reason everyone's there, is to meet new people. So it's about getting out of your comfort zone a little bit and putting yourself out there. And you will be amazed again at how quickly you will be accepted and how quickly you can make friends and, become part of something. And that's something else that we need. We need to feel part of groups and tribes. It goes back to tribal days, where the fact is we wouldn't have survived very long if we were not in a tribe, and being banished from a tribe was probably the worst thing that could have happened, and you probably wouldn't have survived very long. So it's in our nature. We get rewarded with chemicals when we are in those groups, and it's the chemicals that make us feel good. They regulate our mood. So I will give you this chap's name again. It's Marcus Hamilton, and his website is called Frindo. It's a bit like window with an FR in front of it, frindo.com. And it's all about loneliness and the answers to that. I'm sure he's got a lot of better ideas than myself. But I just wanted to come on today. It's a subject that I can definitely relate to, and I certainly am making more of an effort to put myself out there and get involved in things, and I highly recommend that you do too. So thank you for listening, and I hope you have a wonderful weekend.